The father took a photo of his daughter. Every day but stopped when she turned 7 years old. Every morning before the day began, Julian would snap a photo of his daughter, Clara. But when she turned 7, he stopped. Each dawn, before the world stirred, Julian would take a picture of Clara. Someone once said, "Dad's weird because he keeps taking my pictures all the time." Who said that? Ms. Mary, our neighbor. Julian overheard her chatting with the lady at the bakery. She said, "That guy got dumped by his wife. Now he lives like a crazy man, clinging to that camera like he's terrified of losing his kid." Julian paused for a moment, then smiled. She's partly right. Which part? The part where Dad's scared of losing you. Clara looked at her father silently. After a beat, she gripped his hand tightly. "Don't be scared, Dad. I'm right here." Painful memories flooded Julian's mind. Lucy had left when Clara was just 6 months old. It was a stormy night. Julian had just finished bathing Clara when Lucy quietly packed her things into a suitcase. "Where are you going?" Lucy didn't answer, just clutched the suitcase handle, avoiding his eyes. "Lucy, say something. Where are you going? What about our daughter?" She still didn't turn around, only whispered, "Thomas is waiting for me downstairs." Julian stood frozen. "Thomas, my best friend? Yes, I'm sorry. You're leaving your 6-month-old daughter to run off with Thomas? I can't live like this anymore, Julian. I'm suffocating. I don't love you anymore. But our daughter, Clara? You love her enough for both of us. You raise her. You'll do better than I ever could." The door slammed shut like a knife through his heart. Baby Clara lay quietly in her crib, her clear eyes not yet understanding anything. Julian sank to the floor, his body trembling. That night, he took the first picture. Clara lying in her crib, chubby cheeks puffed up, tiny hands clutching a stuffed rabbit. From then on, Clara grew up under Julian's care. "What do you want for dinner tonight, Clara? Fried eggs?" "You always want fried eggs because Dad makes them the best," Julian laughed. He stood in the kitchen while Clara perched on a chair, legs swinging as she sang and drew. "What are you drawing?" "A picture of you and me." "Let me see." "Not done yet. It's a secret." That night, after Clara fell asleep, Julian opened her drawing pad. The first page showed 2 people holding hands, walking in a park. The second page depicted a dad with a camera, snapping a photo of a laughing little girl. Beneath the drawing, in colored pencil, was a neatly written line. "Dad is my superhero." Julian smiled. Clara was so well behaved today. Rosie, the downstairs neighbor, greeted them as they entered the building. "Hi, Miss Rosie." "Hello, sweetie, just back from school?" "Yes, today I got 100 on my math test." "Wonderful. Your dad must be so proud." "My dad's the proudest dad in the world," Julian smiled, resting a hand on his daughter's shoulder. Ms. Rosie watched them enter the elevator, her eyes tinged with wistfulness. She had seen the day Lucy left and every day since. Julian staying up countless nights rocking Clara to sleep, working while holding her, learning to change diapers while silently crying. "Are you afraid of ghosts, Clara?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I have Dad." "Huh? Then who are the ghosts afraid of?" "They're afraid of Dad." "Exactly." Clara laughed loudly, spreading her arms wide. Julian lifted his camera and captured the moment she soared in midair. Eyes sparkling with joy. "Dad, where do you keep all the pictures?" "On my computer's hard drive, and in my heart. I keep you in my heart, too." That night, Julian sat at his computer, opening each photo folder. Each year had its own. Clara, 1 year. Clara, 2 years. Up to Clara, 6 years. Inside each folder, hundreds of pictures were named by date. He opened Clara, 1 year. The first photo showed Clara in her crib, sucking her thumb, eyes tightly closed. The second, Clara crawling for the first time. The third, Clara sitting in a water basin laughing during bath time. Then photo after photo, Clara eating porridge, Clara falling, Clara laughing, Clara crying, Clara pouting, Clara hugging Dad. Julian gently stroked the screen. You're growing up so fast. Where do you want to go this weekend? The library. The library? Not the park? I want to read princess stories. Then Dad's little princess will have her wish. Clara wrapped her arms around his neck. Dad, please don't be sad anymore. Huh? I'm not sad. You often stare off into space and sigh. Oh, from now on, Dad will smile more like this. Clara made a silly face. Julian burst out laughing. You're my medicine, you know that. So, can I be a doctor when I grow up? As long as you don't leave Dad like your mom did. Clara froze. She didn't ask anything else, just buried her head in his shoulder. Hey, Julian. Mr. Edward, the neighborhood Photoshop owner, greeted him. Hi, sir. I'm here to print some photos. Still pictures of Clara, huh? Yes. Edward watched Julian place the USB on the counter. You really love that little girl. She's my whole world. You know, Lucy stopped by here once. Really? Yeah. She stood there, looking at the photos of baby Clara you had displayed. Then she left without saying a word. Julian didn't respond, just stared at the humming printing machine.
One night, after Clara was asleep, Julian opened his handwritten journal and wrote, March. Today Clara said she wants to be a doctor. She keeps asking why her mother left. I don't know how to answer. All I know is whenever she hugs me.
The wounds seem to heal. Clara is the reason I'm still standing. If someday someone tries to take her from me, I don't know what I would do. He closed the notebook, stood, and walked into his daughter's room. Clara slept soundly, hugging her old stuffed rabbit. He kissed her forehead gently, whispering, Dad promises no one will take you from me, no one. Dad, today Miss Amelia said I get to read a poem at the school opening ceremony. Clara ran from the school gate, cheeks flushed, eyes shining. Really? You're amazing. Julian opened his arms, twirling her around the schoolyard. Tomorrow we'll buy you a new dress. You have to look stunning for your big moment. Clara hugged his neck tightly. You'll be my #1 fan, okay? Always. They laughed, unaware that this was one of their last peaceful moments. Julian, you got some mail, Rosie said, handing him a thick envelope, her hands trembling slightly. Thank you, Ms. Rosie. Julian opened it curiously. Inside was a court summons from the family court. Petitioners, Lucy Williams and Thomas Henry Carter. Content: request for custody review of Clara Reed, currently under the temporary care of Mr. Julian Reed following separation. No way, he whispered, his face paling. Rosie stepped closer. They're trying to take her back. They can't after 6 years of silence. They didn't care about her at all. Julian staggered back to his apartment, heart pounding like a drum. Do you know who Thomas is, Clara? Dad's friend, right? Why are you asking? Yeah, your mom and Thomas, they just filed a petition. What petition? They want you to live with them. Clara stayed silent. After a moment, she said, I don't even know him, and Mom never came back to visit me. Why do they want me now? Julian squeezed her tiny hand tighter. I don't know either, sweetheart, but I'll do everything to make sure you don't have to leave me. I promise. The next day, Julian visited an old college friend, Stephen Rivers, now a lawyer. They're saying you have psychological issues, that your habit of photographing Clara every day shows obsessive, controlling, almost creepy behavior. That's my way of loving her, you know that, Stephen. I never forced her, never locked her up. I know, but the court won't look at it with a heart. They'll look at paperwork and evidence. Legally, you don't have stable employment. You can't prove sustainable income. I freelance. I illustrate and write content for children's book publishers because I want time to raise Clara. And that's exactly what they'll use against you. Thomas is an architect. Lucy works at a bank. They have stable finances, and the court will listen to that. Stephen, you saw me rock her to sleep when she was 3 months old. You saw me changing diapers while working deadlines, standing outside ER rooms when she had a fever so high she couldn't wake up. Don't tell me the law would choose them. I'll do everything I can, but you have to be prepared. This fight won't be easy. I don't want to go to court, Clara said, her eyes red. But we have to, sweetheart. I need you by my side. Are you scared, Dad? Terrified. But you said you're a superhero. I am, and superheroes never give up. Clara smiled and nodded. I'm a superhero, too. The first hearing took place in a small courtroom with 3 chairs for adults, 2 lawyers, and 1 judge. Lucy wore a business dress, her hair lightly curled, her makeup carefully applied. Thomas sat beside her, his face emotionless. Julian gripped Clara's hand tightly as they walked in. You're still the same, huh, Julian? Lucy gave a slight smile. Where's your camera? Not taking pictures today? He didn't answer, only stared straight at her. Your Honor, my client, Ms. Lucy Williams, is the biological mother of Clara. Due to circumstances at the time of separation, Ms. Lucy was unable to continue raising her child. However, she is now fully financially stable, emotionally sound, and especially wishes to dedicate herself to making up for lost time with her daughter, Lucy's lawyer stated firmly. Additionally, we request the court reconsider Mr. Julian Reed's obsessive behavior. Taking daily photos of Clara for 6 straight years is abnormal and negatively affects the child's natural emotional development. Stephen stood. Taking photos is Mr. Julian's way of expressing love for his daughter, similar to keeping a visual diary. There is no evidence of abuse, control, or any form of coercion in their relationship. On the contrary, Clara is healthy, happy, performs well academically, and demonstrates good social skills, all confirmed by her teachers. The judge looked up. Mr. Julian, would you like to say something? Julian stood. I'm not a perfect man. I don't own a big house. I don't have a high-paying job, but I have my daughter, and she's my whole life. If taking daily pictures is a crime, then I'll plead guilty. But it's how I fought off loneliness, how I fought off the feeling of betrayal. I lost my wife. Please don't let me lose my daughter too. Lucy gave a faint, sarcastic laugh. No one's stealing Clara from you. Clara is my daughter. I have the right to be close to her. It's been almost 7 years, Lucy. 7 years without a phone call, without a single birthday card. And now you say you have rights? A real mother never disappears. I came back because I want to fulfill my responsibility, Thomas added. We can provide Clara with a more stable home. Clara doesn't need a big house. She needs someone who listens to her every night, kisses her forehead every morning, wipes her tears when she falls down. The judge motioned for them to stop arguing. We will take this under advisement. That night, Clara curled up in Julian's arms. I didn't understand everything they said in court, but I don't want to be away from you, Dad. Me neither, sweetheart. I won't let that happen. Dad, if I have to leave, will you forget me? Julian trembled, hugging his daughter tightly. No, never. Every day, no matter where you are, I'll think about you, about every breath you take. Take another picture of me, Dad, so you can remember me. Julian picked up his camera, but his hands shook. I can't. My eyes are too blurry. Clara wiped his tears with a handkerchief. Let me take a picture of you, Dad. They laughed together, even as the storm gathered around them. Mr. Julian Reed, please stand and make your final statement before the court enters preliminary deliberation, the judge said. Julian stood, gripping the microphone. The room was ice cold. The eyes of the judge, the court clerk, the 2 attorneys, and even Lucy fixed on him. Only Clara's bright, round, innocent eyes gave him strength to stand firm. I didn't come here to defend myself. I came because I'm a father. A father who's spent 6 years caring for his daughter every hour, every minute, every breath. I'm not wealthy. I don't live in a mansion. I don't drive luxury cars. I didn't send my daughter to a fancy private school. But I took her to the library, to the park, to art classes. I cooked for her, told her bedtime stories, lulled her to sleep, held her hand at the doctor's office, washed her hair, taught her math, and every morning I woke up earlier than her just to prepare the breakfast she loved. And today, I'm being called obsessive. Lucy whispered to her lawyer. He's putting on a show. Julian turned to the judge. I took pictures of my daughter every day, yes, but not to control her, to preserve her. because I once lost my wife to my best friend, and that pain left me terrified. Terrified that one day Clara would disappear too, and I'd have nothing to hold on to. The photographs never hurt Clara. They kept me alive. The judge nodded slightly. Thank you, Mr. Julian. We will review this carefully. You need a psychological expert, Stephen said as they sat in his law office. What do you mean? Julian frowned. The other side hired a child psychologist. They claim your daily photo-taking exerts invisible pressure on Clara. They're calling it a symptom of obsessive-compulsive behavior. That's nonsense. The court won't think so. You need an expert to counter them. Do you know anyone? Yes. Her name is Dr. Angela Ferguson, professor of developmental psychology at Boston University. But she's very strict. She'll need clear evidence. I'll meet her. I can't let them take Clara. So, you want me to confirm that taking a photo of your daughter every day doesn't cause psychological harm? Dr. Angela Ferguson crossed her arms, looking at Julian. Yes, I need that. And you think that's normal? Not exactly normal, but not harmful either. Have you ever asked your daughter how she feels about being photographed every day? I think Clara likes it. She often poses, smiles, even suggests settings herself. Is it possible she does that just because she thinks it makes you happy? Julian fell silent. Dr. Angela jotted something in her notebook. I need to meet Clara, not to judge her, just to observe. Do you agree? As long as it helps. Do you like it when your dad takes pictures every day, Clara? Angela asked as they sat in the park. Yes, I get to wear pretty dresses every morning. Do you ever get tired of posing, smiling, standing still? Clara thought for a moment, then shook her head. I feel happy. Dad always says, come on, Dad's little princess, let's capture today. I like remembering. Dad says, time flies really fast. Why do you think your dad takes pictures? To remember me. Why remember you if you're right there with him? Because Mom left him, Clara whispered. Angela looked into the little girl's eyes, then nodded. Thank you, Clara. You're very smart and very brave. At the next hearing, Lucy's lawyers presented evidence, a video statement by their private child psychologist, Dr. Lewis Monroe. Mr. Julian Reed displays signs of serious emotional dependency on his daughter. Maintaining the behavior of photographing her daily for 6 years suggests a mild obsessive-compulsive disorder, which negatively impacts the child's emotional independence. The judge turned to Stephen. Rebuttal. Stephen submitted Dr. Angela Ferguson's report. According to Dr. Ferguson, there is no evidence that Clara suffered any psychological harm. On the contrary, documenting memories helped her develop memory skills, foster positive emotions, and, most importantly, created a secure emotional bond with her father. Dr. Ferguson was called to the stand. Ms. Ferguson, do you believe Mr. Julian's behavior is normal? Not normal, but also not abnormal in a negative sense. Every family expresses love in their own way. The issue isn't the behavior itself, but the results. In this case, Clara is happy, stable, and strongly bonded to her father. Thank you. Lucy stood. I just want to be a real mother. I admit I made mistakes. I left because I needed to save myself. But I came back because Clara needs a mother. Julian sighed. All these years, I never saw you at our door even once. I never got a single birthday card for Clara. Now you say it's for her. Or is it because you're now rich enough to prove you're decent? Thomas interrupted. Don't pretend. To be noble. You don't own Clara. She needs a future, not some cheap sentimental photographs. Julian clenched his fists. I don't own her, I love her. There's a difference. After a week's adjournment for further investigation, the trial resumed. The judge announced, after careful consideration of living conditions, financial stability, and psychological impact on the child, the court declares. Julian swallowed hard, his heart pounding. Clara squeezed his hand, pressing into his side, trembling. That Clara Reed will temporarily live with her biological mother, Ms. Lucy Williams, for a period of 6 months, starting tomorrow. After this period, the court will reevaluate the custody situation and issue a final ruling. A terrifying silence engulfed the courtroom. Clara turned to Julian, eyes wide, voice breaking. "Dad." Julian tried to smile, but his lips trembled. He bent down, holding his daughter tightly. Lucy pressed her lips together, saying nothing. Thomas stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder like a victory gesture. "No, no way, no way." Julian paced his small apartment, crying out in anguish. Rosie stood outside, frozen, watching through the slightly open door. She's only 6 years old, never lived away from her father. How can they tear her away like this? She whispered, clutching her chest. Julian collapsed onto the floor. The last photo he'd printed slipped off the table. He picked it up, Clara drawing in the living room. He hugged the photo to his chest as if hugging his daughter. The next morning, a light drizzle fell. Clara sat on her bed, hugging her worn-out, stuffed rabbit. I'm not going anywhere." She shook her head, eyes filled with tears. Julian knelt beside her, wrapping her in his arms. "I don't want you to go either. But the court decided. I don't like Mom. Mom never called, never letters, never sent letters. She doesn't love me like you do, Dad." "Hush. I know, sweetheart. I know, but you have to be strong, okay? I believe you'll be okay, and after 6 months, if you still want to stay with me, we'll fight again." Clara sobbed, clutching her father's neck as if she'd never let go. "Dad, take another picture. Take it so I can remember you." Julian froze. He'd never thought about taking the last picture. He grabbed his camera, wiped the lens, and led Clara to the balcony where soft light filtered through the drizzle. Clara stood by the car window, pressing her little hands against the glass, eyes pleading for help. "Dad, I don't want to. Go." Click. The sound echoed like a final knife through his heart. "Remember to call me every day," Julian said, placing Clara's suitcase in the car trunk. Lucy, in a long raincoat, held an umbrella over Clara in the back seat. "I'll let her call if she wants to," Lucy replied coldly. "Don't cut off my contact with her. Please, Lucy. You should focus on rebuilding your life. Clara needs stability. You're the one with issues, Julian." The court saw it clearly. Thomas stepped forward, closing the car door, then looked at Julian. "You should know when to let go." Julian said nothing. He stepped back, standing still as the car rolled out of the apartment complex gate. Inside, Clara turned to look back, her face pressed against the window, tiny hands tapping the glass. Julian watched, tears streaming down his cheeks. His hands clutched the camera. The photo he'd just taken was still inside. The last one. "Aren't you going to eat?" Rosie brought Julian a bowl of hot soup. "Thank you, I'm not hungry. I know this hurts a lot, but Julian, you need to keep up your strength." Julian sat silently, eyes fixed on the wall calendar. Clara's first day at her new school. "It feels like I was robbed." "I understand." No one asked Clara what she wanted. They only looked at paperwork, at salaries. They didn't see how she smiles every morning. They don't know what she needs. Rosie sat beside him. There will come a day when justice speaks. But by then, will Clara still be my Clara? Julian opened his computer but didn't touch the photo folders. He pulled out a drawer, took out his camera. His fingers grazed the power button but didn't press it. "The last picture, my Clara. Where are you now?" He opened the photo box, pulling out each picture. Clara drinking from a bottle, Clara taking her first steps, Clara laughing with ice cream on her nose, Clara hugging him at the park, Clara sleeping in his arms on a rainy afternoon. Each picture, each memory, played like a slow-motion film. Finally, he placed yesterday's photo, Clara pressing her face against the car window, at the center of the table, surrounded by hundreds of others. The room became a shrine of memories. He broke down in tears. Stephen called. "I just received a copy of the ruling. They granted Lucy temporary custody, citing a more stable living environment, better education opportunities, and the presence of a secondary guardian, Thomas. So basically they chose money over love. I'm not saying that, but sometimes the law doesn't understand what love is. So what can I do now?" "Nothing." The next 6 months are an observation period. You can't afford a single mistake. You have to stay strong. Do you believe I can get Clara back? Stephen paused. I do, because you're the only one who sees her with a true heart. 3 days later, Julian entered Clara's room. Everything was still there. Teddy bears on the shelves, half-finished coloring books, the princess dress she never wore. He sat and placed the camera inside the drawer. Sleep well. Clara isn't here anymore. The room froze in time. Only the sound of rain against the window and his painful heartbeat remained. Julian never took another picture after that day. His apartment lost all its usual light. No more laughter, no more daddy calls, no more mornings where Clara jumped on the bed to wake him. Only silence and the final photo. Clara by the window, her tear-filled eyes forever asking a question only Julian could hear. Dad, why did I have to leave? Cannot complete the call. Julian stared at his phone screen. It was the 10th time he'd dialed Lucy's number that week, the 10th time he heard the automated message. He opened his messaging app. Julian, please let me talk to Clara just for a few minutes. Julian, is she okay? Does she miss me? Julian, Shiming, I'm her father. I have the right to know. The messages remained unread. He dropped his head onto the table. The phone lay silent beside a cup of coffee, long gone cold. 1 week passed, then 2. No call, no message from Lucy, nothing from Clara. Stephen got a call from Julian at midnight. You have to help me, she blocked all communication. Julian, they're in the temporary custody period. They have the right to control contact, but I'll file an official request to demand updates about Clara's situation. Stephen, I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see her, face pressed against that car window, begging without words. I don't know what she's eating, what she's learning, when she's sleeping. I'm losing my mind. I know. Hang in there. I'll do everything I can. Day 33. Julian stood outside Lucy's house, a quiet 2-story home, white picket fence, neatly trimmed trees. He rang the doorbell. No answer. He rang again, holding the button longer. A figure appeared from the backyard. Thomas. What are you doing here? I want to see Clara. She's busy studying. Just 5 minutes. I've been cut off from her for over a month. Thomas crossed his arms. The court said 6 months. We're following the rules. You should respect that. Respect? What about respecting the bond between me and my daughter? You lost custody, Julian, not me. And that gives you the right to cut me off completely? You should go home, Julian. Don't make things worse. Thomas shut the gate. Julian stood frozen, fists clenched, rain soaking his shoulders. Week 6. Julian sent a handwritten letter to Lucy's house, every word written with a trembling hand. Dear Clara, Daddy misses you. I miss your voice, the smell of your hair, your laughter. Every morning I still look at your empty bed and imagine you're sleeping, holding your stuffed bunny. I don't know if you're eating well, if you're still drinking warm milk before bed, if someone reads you bedtime stories. I hope you're keeping those habits. I can't take pictures of you anymore. The camera is locked away. But if you ever have a new picture, please write the date on the back. So someday, when I see you again, I'll know how you grew up, little by little. I love you very, very much. Daddy. He sealed and mailed it. 3 days later, the letter returned, stamped in red. Recipient refused delivery. Julian, eat something, please. Rosie placed a plate of bread on the table. I'm not hungry. You're wasting away. Julian sat still. Did you know how she used to wake me up every morning? No. She'd sit on my stomach and shout, Dad, we're late for school. Even if it wasn't even 6 yet. Rosie smiled through teary eyes. And now, every morning, I wake up at that same time, but no one shouts anymore. Stephen visited Julian's apartment one weekend afternoon. You have to get up, at least stay alive to welcome Clara back. She cut me off from everything. It's like I've been erased from Clara's life. I'm filing a complaint to the court about the illegal communication cutoff, but it'll take time. And in the meantime, Clara will think I abandoned her. Stephen gripped his friend's shoulder. You can't fall apart. You're her last anchor. Week 12. Julian woke early and opened an old wooden box under the bed. Inside were dozens of birthday cards, Clara's scribbled drawings, and the tiny sweater she wore at one. He pulled out an old photo. Clara eating her first birthday cake, frosting smeared on her face, eyes wide and round. You still like chocolate cake, right? He whispered hoarsely. Suddenly, the phone rang. He lunged for it. An unknown number. Hello, who is this? Julian? He froze. A woman's voice. This is Martha. Martha, Lucy's old housekeeper? Yes. I shouldn't be calling, but I can't stand it anymore. Martha, where's Clara? Is she okay? She's very sad. She keeps asking why you don't call. Every time she asks, Lucy tells her, he's too busy, he doesn't care. Oh God. I called dozens of times. They blocked me. I know. I saw it happen. But I'm just the housekeeper. I have no power. Martha, please. Just let me hear her voice for a second. I can't. If they find out I called you, I'll lose my job. Martha, I'm begging you. I'm going crazy. Just 1 minute. Silence. Then the line went dead. Julian sat motionless. His arm fell limp, the phone slipping onto the carpet. Week 16. Julian hadn't left the house for 4 days. Rosie knocked. Julian, you can't go on like this. You need someone with you. He didn't open the door. I'll call a doctor if you don't answer. Finally, the door creaked open. Julian stood there, unshaven, eyes sunken, body skeletal. I'm still breathing, just enough to wait for Clara. But I don't know for how long. One rainy night, Julian sat on Clara's bed, clutching her pillow, turning on her star-shaped nightlight. Soft light shimmered across the ceiling. He whispered, Clara, if you can hear me, know that Daddy never stopped loving you. Daddy never left you. Daddy's still here, waiting. Julian, what are you doing? Rosie gasped, entering the apartment. The room was no longer a living room. It was covered in photos. Photos of Clara drinking from a bottle, grinning in a bear costume, dancing, pouting as she learned to write, wincing after scraping her knee, hugging Julian in the rain. Every wall, the ceiling, the floors, the hallway, even the refrigerator door were plastered with colored photos of every size. In the middle sat Julian, skinny, hair disheveled, eyes vacant. You see, she's still here, he whispered. Clara's the only part of me left. Julian, you have to rest. You have to eat. Do you hear her voice? Julian interrupted, eyes wide. Her voice still echoes every morning. Dad, get up, we're late. Sometimes I think she's hiding somewhere in the house. Rosie grabbed his hand. You need to see a doctor. This is a symptom of depression. It's a sign of serious emotional trauma. I'm not sick. I just miss my daughter too much. Stephen came by after Rosie's call. Do you know you're living in a museum of memories? Look at these photos. Look into Clara's eyes in everyone. Stephen said nothing. What could he say to a father severed from his child by a cold court ruling? Are you still working? Stephen asked. No. How about rent? Ms. Rosie paid for a month. After that, I don't know. You can't keep going like this. I'm going to find you a therapist. Julian let out a distorted laugh. A therapist won't bring Clara back. That night, Julian sat in the living room under yellow light, surrounded by scattered photos. He flipped through them, some yellowed, some torn, some stained with tears. One slipped from his hand. The day Clara learned to walk, tiny arms outstretched on park grass, eyes fixed on her father. Dad, look at me. Her voice echoed in his head. He burst into tears. Where are you, Clara? Julian began printing more photos. Pictures saved on his computer were now printed large. He rented space at a nearby print shop, where employees called him the photo man. "How many more do you want to print, Mr. Julian?" Daniel, a clerk, asked. "No amount will ever be enough." Daniel looked at him with pity. "Your daughter, she still hasn't come home?" Julian shook his head. "My mom left when I was little. I know what it feels like." Julian gave a faint smile. "Do you still have pictures of her?" "No, but I still remember her face. Photos help me not forget, but they also make the pain worse." Daniel nodded. "But without photos, you'd hurt in another way." One day, Rosie found Julian arranging photos into a heart shape on the floor. "What are you doing, Julian?" "Making a place for Clara to sit when she comes home." "Do you really believe she'll come back?" He looked up. "If I didn't believe, I'd already be dead." Every night before bed, Julian opened a new photo, placed it before him, and spoke to it as if to Clara. "Are you doing okay? I ate lunch alone today. I hate instant noodles, but I ate them because I ran out of money. I stopped shaving. You used to say I look like a bear. Maybe you prefer bear dad more than human dad. It's raining in Boston tonight. Are you wearing your jacket?" One day, Julian went to St. Joseph Church, sitting quietly in the last pew, holding a picture of Clara. Father Joseph approached. "Do you want to confess?" "I have no sins. I just lost my daughter." God understands the pain of a father losing a child. He endured that pain himself. "But I never abandoned my child. The law took her from me." You need strength to endure, not to blame. Have you ever looked at a photo and thought, that's all you have left? Father Joseph placed a hand on Julian's shoulder. "One day your little girl will be back in your arms, not just in photos." One night, Julian entered Clara's bedroom. Since she left, nothing had changed. The bed neatly made, her crayon box on the desk, paper stars from their last Christmas. On the window. He lay on her bed, hugged her pillow, and closed his eyes. He dreamed. Clara running toward him, calling, "Daddy!" He opened his arms, but every time he reached her, she vanished. He woke in a cold sweat. Julian met Stephen at the corner coffee shop. "Any news?" Stephen nodded. "Martha, Lucy's former housekeeper, just quit. She's willing to testify if needed." "What does she know?" "A lot, but she's scared. It'll take time to convince her." Julian nodded. "I have time. I live by time." Stephen looked at his friend, eyes full of sorrow. "How long have you been living like this?" 4 months and 13 days. "You count every day." "I don't. I live inside them." That night, Julian sat in the living room, placing the photo from the day Clara left at the table's center, lighting a small candle before it. He whispered, "I'm sorry. I couldn't keep you." The flame flickered, as if nodding. He closed his eyes, letting tears fall silently. Surrounded by photos, he sat in the heart of his memories, the only place Clara still existed. "You need to see a doctor immediately," Stephen said, staring at Julian. "No," Julian shook his head. "I'm not going anywhere." "Julian, listen. You're not eating, not sleeping, not working. You're living in a house full of photos, talking to pictures, forgetting the days." "I'm not forgetting. Today's the 142nd day since Clara was taken." Stephen stifled a sigh. "Do you think Clara would be happy seeing you like this?" Julian said nothing, stroking a worn photo. Clara on her first day of school, purple backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes beaming. "Have you thought about an ending?" Stephen asked, voice low. Julian gave a faint, soundless laugh. "I have. One night I went to the rooftop, just stood there. The wind was fierce, and I thought, if I let go, would Clara know? Would she cry? Or has she forgotten me?" "And yet you're still here," Stephen said, gripping his shoulder. "Because I remember her eyes. The day she left, begging, 'Dad, don't let me go.' I can't disappear and leave those eyes behind." That day, Julian admitted himself to St. Cecilia Psychiatric Hospital on Stephen's recommendation. He sat before Dr. Matthew Carter, a therapist with graying hair and calm eyes. "Have you thought about ending your life?" Matthew asked. Yes. How many times? Once. But it lasted a whole month. Matthew jotted notes. You think you need help? I need Clara. Clara isn't the cure. No, she's my life. And when life's taken away, you lose direction. That's classic trauma-induced depression. Your condition is post-traumatic emotional isolation. So what'll you do? Give me pills, sit and talk every week? I don't promise miracles, but I can help you live with the pain instead of being swallowed by it. 3 weeks later, Julian met Dr. Matthew regularly, taking mild sleeping aids, practicing breathing exercises, and keeping an emotion journal. Do you still have your camera? Matthew asked. I do, but I don't touch it. Have you thought about taking pictures again to heal? Take pictures of what? I already took the last one. Clara, hands against the car window. The camera's locked away. Have you thought about sending photos to Clara? How? Lucy blocks everything. Have you kept writing letters? I did. The post office returned them, stamped recipient refused. Matthew sighed. You're living in a loop of memories. The only way out is action. One evening, Rosie knocked. Julian, are you awake? Yes, come in. Someone asked about you. Who? Martha. Julian sat up. Are you serious? She came to the bakery where I work mornings. She said, tell Julian that Clara never forgot him. And I have proof. Julian went to Martha's rundown apartment in South Boston. She opened the door, looking tired, holding ginger tea. You're too skinny, she said. Where's Clara? I don't work there anymore. They fired me after finding out I called you, but before I left, I took this. Martha pulled out a cloth bag containing a pale purple USB drive. What's this? Photos. Every day, Clara asked me to take one picture. Then she'd say, I'll send them to Daddy so he knows I haven't forgotten him. I kept them all from the day she arrived until I quit. Julian's hands trembled as he took the USB. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a child too. I couldn't stand by seeing a little girl so heartbroken. Julian rushed home, plugged in the USB. A folder appeared. Clara 365. He opened the first file. Clara by a window, gaze outward, hair tied with a purple ribbon. Below text. Day 1. I'm okay, Daddy. Don't worry. The second photo. Clara holding a drawing of them captioned, Day 2. I miss you, Daddy. The third. Clara hugging her stuffed dog. A card beside her. I didn't forget your birthday, Daddy. Julian broke down, wiping tears, whispering, I didn't forget you either, not for a second. He called Stephen. I have proof. A whole set of photos taken by Clara herself, with notes she wrote. Can we use this as evidence of affection in the next trial? Stephen paused, then said, Not only can we use it, it's invaluable. If Martha testifies, we can request a retrial. This time I won't let anyone take Clara from me again. That night, for the first time in nearly 6 months, Julian opened the cabinet, took out his camera, dusted it off, loaded the battery, checked the lens. He set it on a tripod, turned, the lens toward himself. Click. The first picture wasn't of Clara but of a father rising again for his daughter. Before bed, he opened a photo of Clara in a garden, gaze distant. Her note read, Day 182. Daddy, I'm not happy, but I try to smile every day. Julian placed his hand on the screen. My sweet girl, Daddy's back. Daddy will fight for you till the end. Julian, you have a package. Rosie knocked, holding a small box wrapped in brown paper. Julian opened the door, eyes bloodshot from sleeplessness. I didn't order anything. No sender listed, but your name's on it, Rosie said, handing it over. It says open on March 8th. Julian glanced at his watch. Today was March 8th, Clara's birthday. His hands shook. He sat on the sofa, peeled off the tape. Inside was a red leather-bound notebook, hand-stitched with golden thread. On the cover, in neat marker, From Clara for Daddy. Julian opened the first page. A small photo was glued in the center, Clara in a blue birthday hat, sitting before a small cake, eyes bright yet sad. Below, in childish handwriting, Day 1. Daddy, I'm okay, but I miss you. Page 2. Clara drawing a picture. Day 2. I drew. You here? Can you see it, Daddy? Page 3. Clara watering a plant. Day 3. I watered the plants like you taught me. Page 4. Clara looking sadly out a window. Day 4. Mommy says, Daddy's too busy to call. Julian collapsed onto the table, hugging the notebook to his chest. Stephen arrived after hearing the news. You're sure the package didn't have a sender's name? Positive, but I think it was Martha. Can we use this notebook as evidence? Clara wrote every line herself. The emotions in the photos are undeniable. This is genuine. No one could fake it. Will you help me file for a retrial immediately and contact Martha if she's willing to testify? This time I won't let Clara fall into silence again. 3 days later, Martha agreed to meet at a coffee shop near the square. Martha, thank you for everything, Julian said, placing the notebook on the table. I kept it for over I have a house, financial security, a future plan for Clara. I'm her mother. I came back because I love her. The judge stared at Lucy. And why, during Clara's first 6 years, did you not visit once, not send a gift, not even a postcard? Lucy fell silent. Thomas interjected. Because Lucy needed to heal. Julian suffocated her. He's obsessed with the girl, using her to fill his void. Stephen countered. And what about the photos of Clara under your roof? Sunken eyes, forced smiles. Is that the stability you promised? The judge banged the gavel. The court will recess. We will announce the verdict in 1 hour. In the hallway, Julian sat silently, hugging his camera. Rosie approached. I prayed for you all night. Thank you. I just want Clara to come home where she belongs. And this time, you won't let go. Julian clenched his fists. Never again. 10 minutes later, the gavel struck. The courtroom fell silent. All eyes turned to the judge. After reviewing the evidence, testimonies, and new circumstances, the court hereby rules. Julian held his breath, gripping Stephen's hand, each second an eternity. Custody of Clara Reed will be granted to Mr. Julian Reed, the biological father, with the condition of continuing psychological care and monitoring during the initial reintegration period, as ordered by a licensed therapist. The courtroom erupted. Lucy sat frozen, hands trembling. Thomas stood, face in disbelief. Julian's legs weakened. He could barely breathe. He turned to Stephen, his best friend, who'd trusted and supported him. Stephen smiled, patting his shoulder. Congratulations, Julian. You did it. Julian stood, walking to the courtroom's front, knees nearly buckling. But Clara would be coming back. Clara. Julian's voice quivered as he saw his daughter at the door, holding a tiny backpack. A court officer and one of Lucy's aides stood beside her, but Clara's eyes were only for her father. Daddy! Clara ran, arms outstretched, eyes shining like stars. Julian knelt, wrapping her tightly in his arms, barely believing this was real. Clara, the little girl he hadn't seen for so long, was here. Daddy, I missed you so much, Clara said, tears streaming down her cheeks. I missed you too. I promise I'll never let you go again. I won't leave you anymore, right? No, I won't let you go anywhere ever again. Clara sobbed in Julian's arms. He felt her little heart pounding just like his own. He kissed her forehead, stood, and held her hand as they walked out together. As they left the courthouse, Stephen approached, smiling brightly. You did great, Julian. This victory isn't just yours. It's a triumph of love and patience. Julian smiled, eyes overflowing with happiness. I couldn't have done it without all of you. Stephen, thank you so much. We did it together, Julian. You deserve this happiness. She needs a father like you. Julian looked at Clara, laughing, her eyes sparkling as she gazed up at him. He bent down, running a hand through her hair. We're going to start over, sweetheart. I promise I won't let anyone separate us again. Clara hugged him tightly, then grinned playfully. "You're my superhero, Daddy." Julian laughed, looking at his daughter with all the love a father could hold. "I'll always be your superhero, Clara. You know that, right?" That evening back home, Julian opened the door, and it felt like a new world unfolded. Everything was warm, like a real family. Clara ran to the sofa, jumped up and shouted, "Dad, I want to look at all our pictures again." Julian chuckled. "Of course, we'll make up for everything we missed." He went to the corner where he'd stored Clara's photographs. This time, he wasn't afraid. He no longer feared losing his daughter. He pulled out the photo album, sat beside Clara, and flipped through the worn pages, each filled with a memory. "This is the photo where you modeled for Daddy, remember? Of course, I was the most beautiful model ever. And here's the photo of you learning to draw. You made a huge painting, remember? I remember. I drew you and me and our little world." Julian smiled, gazing at Clara with tenderness. "That's right, sweetheart. A little world you and I built together." Clara rested her head on Julian's shoulder and whispered, "Dad, I don't ever want to leave you. Again. Me neither, my sweet girl. I'll never let you go again." This time, Julian was unafraid. The painful memories, the months of separation, they were now just the past. Between him and Clara, only love and hope remained. Lucy stood outside, the window watching the scene inside Julian's apartment. She said nothing, just stood there, a deep emptiness welling inside her. "I'll never forget her," she whispered, eyes sad, fixed on the joyful father and daughter. "But I won't give up either." The next day, Julian submitted a request to amend the custody ruling. But this time, he wasn't afraid. Nothing could stop the love he had for Clara. Tomorrow, the day after, or any day beyond, Julian would always be a father who loved his daughter. And Clara, no matter what, would always be the special little girl in his life. The lesson from this story is that a father's unconditional love for his child is a strength that can overcome all hardships and challenges. No matter how life pushes and shoves, no matter how harsh the law may seem, family love remains irreplaceable. Julian's patience and determination in fighting to reclaim his daughter emphasize that sometimes genuine love is the most powerful force, helping a person endure, overcome pain, and ultimately find happiness and truth. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We're very grateful for your support. See you soon.